everyone, welcome to tonight's Facebook and Instagram Live. I'm Christine Daal from Fashionista, and tonight is episode number 96. We are going to discuss how to do a mid-year goal business check review, audit, whatever you want to call it. Hey Grandstand Fashion, how are you? Nice to see you on. Now is a great time to do a mid-year because we are in July. So as always, don't forget to share this video. If you're sharing on Facebook, just remember to tell people that they can't actually watch it unless they're inside our Fearless Fashionpreneur Facebook group. So have them join the group, then they can watch the videos. Hey Dominica, how are you? Good to see you on. If you're on Instagram, tag someone. This will be either in our stories or on IGTV. So share it. You can tap that little paper airplane and share it with someone. As we're going along, give me your hearts, give me your thumbs up. I want to hear from you guys. I like these to be as interactive as possible. I don't want to feel like I'm talking to myself, all right? So let's get some interaction going. And if you're on Instagram, again, if you miss any of this, it will be in our stories for 24 hours. Otherwise, you can head on over to the Fearless Fashionpreneur Facebook group and watch the rest of it there. So today we are going to discuss what you can do now to actually hit your income goal 1 year ahead of time. I do this all the time in my business. It is amazing. How to determine the cost to acquire a single customer, which a lot of you on my IG stories do not know how to do. The number one way to figure out what customers really want, how to know what your top 3 sources of traffic are to your website and actually how to capitalize on that traffic, your net versus your gross margin and which one is really the most important, and so much more. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm so happy to see so many of you on. So beginning of July, we are in the beginning of July. Half of the year is over. I cannot even believe it. I am in total awe that the first 6 months of 2020 are over. But now's a great time to reassess where you are in your business and start to reevaluate those goals. Now, I know that some of you might be thinking, Christine, haven't you heard we're in a pandemic? And yes, I know we're in a pandemic. I know that COVID kind of totally put a wrench in a lot of your plans, I'm sure. I'm sure some of you are thinking, I'm so far behind on my goals. Like, what are my goals? Why do I even have to look at my goals? Because it's going to be so depressing to even look at them because you set them in the beginning of 2020, in January, when expectations were high, when it was a new year, not only a new year, but a new decade. And I know a lot of you were happy to leave the last decade behind and kind of start off fresh, and then boom, March hit and we all got hit with this pandemic. And so I know that a lot of you are feeling behind. I know a lot of you are feeling down and depressed, but I'm here to inspire you, to encourage you, to motivate you. It's not about how you start, but how you finish. And the end of 2020 can be amazing. It can be completely, totally 180 from the beginning of 2020. And if you haven't been thriving, you can still thrive by the end of 2020. So have hope, hang in there with me, stay with me, and we're gonna talk about a lot of great things. So I know 6 months is a short period of time, but actually a lot can happen. And when I think back to the beginning of 2020 and how much my business has changed, how much I've changed, what we've been able to accomplish since then, it is amazing at the end of the day. So now's a really good time to sit down and do a mid-year goal business check. Now, I will say this can be very tedious and very technical and a little brain, wrenching a little bit, but it's worth it in the long run. Trust me, you will be able to make the most proper business decisions for your business if you properly do this. And if you want to hit your income goal a year ahead of schedule, how many people would love to hit, I want to hear from you. A lot of you are on. How many people would love to hit their income goals a year ahead of schedule? If you're watching the replay, I want to hear you as well. Chime in the chat there. Raise your hands. Give me your hearts. Give me your emojis. I love it. Gabrielle Arici. Yes, she wants to for sure. So in order to hit your income goal a year ahead of time or however long ahead of time, it's about making those proper business decisions now. Not waiting till the last minute, not debating, not letting your fear paralyze you, but getting it done now. It's super, super important that you get it done now. So getting it done now, also our 4-ingredient recipe, which I did talk about on last week's Facebook Live, episode 95, where we did a case study and we talked about the successful companies that launched during a bad economy and still did very, very well. That 4-ingredient recipe is being able to adapt, innovate, be on the offense, and be on the defense. And those are 4 keys that you really need to have in order to hit your income goals a year ahead of schedule. And so if you didn't get a chance to watch that Facebook Live, head on back and make sure that you watch that. So we are constantly hitting our income goals way ahead of schedule, and it's all because I'm constantly tracking, testing, and trying out brand new things and getting outside of my comfort zone. And I'm doing it now. I'm not waiting. I'm not relaxing. I'm not saying, okay, let's do that next month. I'm doing it right now. So I'll give you guys a couple of examples. A year ago, actually, literally a year ago, in July of last year, we made the decision to launch a brand new service. It's our Instagram growth service. This was not even on my radar. This is not something I was interested in really doing. I never wanted to really be a service-based business. I always wanted to have online courses and digital products and things like that. And honestly, I had no clue COVID was coming. I had no idea that 9 months later we would have a pandemic and I wouldn't be able to do certain things like my fashion tours. We do fashion manufacturing tours in New York City, LA, and Miami, and they're live in person, and we go to manufacturers. All of that was put on hold due to COVID. All the manufacturers closed. No one was able to get together. We were all quarantined, right? So we put all of that on hold. Had I not launched this brand new service a year ago, I would not have been able to put all my tours on hold. That brand new service actually has totally replaced and actually surpassed all of our income or any income that we would make from any of our manufacturing tours. I don't have to ever do another manufacturing tour ever again if I didn't want to. I still want to. Don't worry, we're still going to be doing them. But I don't have to. I'm not bound to it. It's not like, oh my gosh, this is a huge chunk of my business that now I've lost because of COVID, because I made the right decisions, and I made the right decisions a year ago, right? It's not like I decided yesterday, okay, I'm going to do this in response to COVID. Now, I'm not saying that doing things in response to COVID is a bad idea. You have to pivot. You have to be able to adapt. You want to be able to make changes. That's totally understandable, and everyone should really be doing that. Grandstand, is that a service on your website? It's actually not listed on our website, believe it or not. We have very limited space for it. We only take on about 20 new clients every single month, and we do the onboardings at the first of the month. But just email us. We can send you all the information on it. Eventually, we'll probably put it on our website, but honestly, we've been so booked with it that we haven't really needed to advertise it too much. So it's been amazing. I'll give you guys another example. Back in 2014, I really pushed myself. Now, this was like I was still working in the industry. I was trying to get my business going on the side, and I really pushed myself to record a sketching video and post it up on my YouTube channel. Now, at the time, I had no followers on YouTube. I had barely any videos. I think I had a couple of like really old videos that I was not proud of. But I was like, all right, I think a sketching video would be really, really good. And at the time, we thought about actually offering sketching lessons or that sort of thing as part of our services. That's no longer actually something that we do. But in the beginning of my business, that's what I thought I was going to do. So I forced myself to record a sketching video. I was so uncomfortable. The lighting was bad. I recorded it on like my old school digital camera, you guys. Like I did not have like any high-tech equipment. My hand was literally blocking the entire thing because I'm right-handed and I shot from the right side instead of shooting from the left side. It was horrific. But you know what? That video went viral. And now it has over 1 million views, and it's responsible for bringing over 20,000 followers to my YouTube channel and over tens of thousands of dollars of revenue into my business because people now find us all the time on YouTube. Had I not recorded that horrible video, and please do not go back and watch it because it is really, really horrible. Had I not recorded that video, had I not taken the time to take a YouTube class to learn what do you need to put in a title and what do you need to put in the descriptions and what should you put in the tags and all of those very important strategic things to get your videos found on YouTube, my video would not have gone viral and I would not have all of this income coming into my business today. So just do something. Do something. Do it now. Put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. You know, I could have easily said, oh, we don't need to add any more services. I'm totally comfortable. I was totally comfortable last July where we were. I didn't need to add more things. I had enough on my plate. I do so much already. I didn't really need to add any more. But I said, you know what? Let's try this. Let's see how it goes. And not everything that you try is going to be a success, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more. But your failures can sometimes be even greater than success, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Now I'll give you a third example. In 2016, when I decided to really go full force, full time with my business, I walked away from my full-time job. I decided to hire a digital marketing coach. And that's because I realized I really need to learn all of these strategies. I need to learn SEO, email marketing, video, Google Analytics, website development, right? Blogging, all of these things I really needed to have a really good grip on so that I could get my page found on Google. I bootstrapped it. I didn't have a huge budget getting started off the ground. And because I spent that time, because I hired a really great coach to teach me and coach me along the way, we are constantly now found on the top page of Google, and I do not pay for any Google ads whatsoever. 70% of our traffic to our website comes organically, all from Google, all because we know how to do keyword research, because we knew how to do SEO when I built my website, because I knew how to do blogging. And I wasn't blogging a ton right away. I blogged as much as I could. Maybe I started out once a month, then I went to twice a month, then I went to once a week. Now sometimes we do twice a week. At one point we were doing twice a week. So you have to take the step now. Don't wait, don't delay. Just do something now for your business. I promise you, a year from now, you will be so thankful that you got started today. So to wrap it up, you need to take action now. And number two, you need to take the proper action, which you won't know unless you're completely always analyzing, testing, tracking, analyzing what's working, what's not working in your business. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. Okay? Everyone enjoying this so far? Yes, so needed to hear this. I love it. Awesome. I'm glad it's encouraging you. So how do you do a mid-year business goal check review audit? So here is my 6-step process. So for those of you who are taking notes, definitely get out your pen and paper and get ready to take some notes. So goals, to me, I always think of it like this. They're kind of like the GPS, right? You don't know where you're going unless you have goals, right? If you want to get to a certain desired destination, you kind of need to have goals to get you there along the way. Otherwise, you're just going to be driving aimlessly, looking at all the pretty sunsets, going off on this road over here, going off on that road over there. It's going to take you a lot longer to get to your desired destination. GPS tells you 1, 2, 3, fastest way to get there, avoiding all traffic, avoiding all delays, all this stuff, weather, right? Fastest way to get there is your goals. So step number 1 to doing a mid-year goal check is to sit down and look at your goals and list out your goals that you had at the beginning of the year. Now, you can totally do this more than just twice a year. I actually like to do it quarterly, and you can certainly even do it monthly. Like a lot of the stuff you can do monthly. But at the very least, you should be looking at your goals every 6 months, and hopefully you have them pasted somewhere, whether it's in a journal, on your vision board, on your wall somewhere, where you're constantly looking at them, because that is super, super important in order to achieve your goals as well. And we talk about that a lot. So I'll give you a couple of my goals for the year at the beginning of the year. So one of our goals was to do less, actually. I'm always trying to do more. So actually, one of my goals was actually to do less. I wanted to do less trade shows, and I wanted to do less tours. Now, again, I had no idea COVID was gonna happen, but actually COVID was somewhat of a blessing in disguise for us because it forced me to do less. I was not able to do a lot of trade shows during this time. A lot of them did go virtual, but it's still not the same as doing a live trade show. And we have not been able to do our tours. We did just have a tour 2 weeks ago in LA. It was our first tour since COVID has been happening, and we're probably gonna do virtual tours going forward, so stay tuned for that. Another one of our goals was to hire another assistant. I knew that one of my assistants would be leaving, and so I needed to find a replacement for her, and so I wanted to make sure I had ample time to train her and that the old assistant could train the new assistant so I wouldn't have to do all the training. And so we hired a new assistant in January, and she is awesome. We also wanted to increase our Facebook ads, transfer over all of our online courses onto a brand new platform and actually increase and update a lot of the content for our online courses. Those of you who are in our FSI know that we've pretty much doubled the amount of information that you're getting in there, which is amazing. I also wanted to work with a new coach. One of my goals was to increase our profit margins and also reduce our expenses. Both things will help you have bigger profitability. I wanted to rebrand, so we are in the process of rebranding. We have a brand new brochure that's going to be coming out. We have a new pop-up box on our website. We've added a new image for our FSI, our Fashion Startup Intensive. We're in the process of creating a brand new speaker reel, which I've been meaning to do because I do a lot of speaking and I love speaking and I would love to get more speaking engagements. And so it's very helpful to have a speaker reel video that you can hand out to get more speaking engagements. I wanted to launch TikTok, which we have. You can follow us on TikTok now at Fashion Ninja Warrior. I also wanted to create an amazing quiz that does not exist in our industry, to my knowledge. There is no quiz out there right now that I know of that you can actually take to get a real gauge on how successful you're going to be with your fashion line. And so we developed our own quiz. I'm super proud of this, guys. You need to take it. Head on over to fashionninjawarrior.com/quiz and you can actually take our quiz. It's also right there on the homepage, fashionninjawarrior.com. It's amazing. I highly, highly recommend that you take it if you are thinking of starting a line or if you've already started and you really want to know what your chances of success really are, like what are you really getting into and how likely is it that you're actually going to succeed, then I highly recommend you take our quiz. And then I also, one of our goals, which actually was a recent goal that happened due to COVID, I personally wanted to put at least $10,000 in the pockets of some people that have lost their jobs due to COVID. So a lot of people are making masks and doing that and donating masks and doing that and other things for COVID. I wanted to help people that have lost their job. So we're in a very good financial situation right now with our business. And thank God we've been busier due to COVID. So it's been a blessing for us. And so I wanted to give back in that way. And we have almost reached this goal. I'm super proud to say we have almost reached $10,000 that we have put in the pockets of people that lost their jobs, that are dying for money right now because they lost their job due to COVID. So that's something I'm really super excited about. So make a list of your goals. If you already did in the beginning of the year, pull them out again. And then we're gonna sit down and really look at them. And then step number 2 is to actually look and see how many of them have you reached. And if you have reached them, why? And if you haven't reached them, why not, right? We need to figure out what's working and what's not working. So if you haven't reached the goals, let's start to think about why. And this is a totally no judgment zone, right? So I don't want you guys to be judging yourselves. I don't want you to be bashing yourselves and putting yourselves down, saying, oh my gosh, I'm a horrible person. I didn't reach my goal. What was I thinking? You know, that's not what this is about. That's going to only diminish your ability to reach your goals. You want to look at it from the standpoint of, do these goals even still matter to you? It's very quite possible that your priorities have changed, that your vision has changed, that these goals, some of them might no longer be in alignment with what you really want at the end of the day. And that's okay. There is nothing wrong with changing your mind or changing your vision or changing your heart's desires, right? Do your goals get you excited? Maybe they don't get you excited and that's why you're not working on them and not achieving them, right? Do they bring you joy? Do they help you get to where you really want to be in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years down the line? Where do you really want to be with your business? And are your goals in alignment with that? What's your mindset? What's your mind chatter? What's going on up there? What are you telling yourself? Are you telling yourself that this is hard, that this goal is hard, that it's difficult, that it's not fun? You know, a lot of things that my husband and I do together, we often have to do things that are not fun, right? We have finance meetings where we sit down and we go over our finances and we look at how much is in our bank account and how many bills do we have and how much money are we bringing in and can we afford to do this? Can we afford to do that, right? We talk about all these things. It's not necessarily fun, guys. Like, I don't have fun like doing this stuff, but we make it fun. And so now when we have our monthly finance meetings, we call it our fun finance meeting or a finance fun meeting. So you have to just make things fun, even if they're not fun, because it's going to put you in the right mindset. And sometimes you don't just want to change your goals to make them easier, but some goals do need to be changed, and that's totally fine. Other goals, you might just have to buckle down and get really serious and push yourself more in order to achieve it. And at the end of the day, you know how much you can do, what you're really capable of doing at the end of the day, how much time you're really sacrificing, and whether or not you're slacking off or not. So it also comes down to your mindset about hitting your goals. Do you need to hit these goals in order to not feel disappointed? That might be a reason somewhat to lessen your goal or make it a little bit of an easier goal to achieve. But I always say shoot for the stars. If anything, you'll always hit the moon, right? So I like to have really, really big goals, big enough that they actually scare me, right? So that's a super, super good idea to think about. And then keep in mind, some of your goals just take longer. Some of them need to be measurable. Don't forget to make them measurable. And we talk about this in our SMART goals so that you can actually see your progress. Sometimes your deadline for your goal might be unreasonable, or maybe it could be a process that's going on in your business that's not quite functioning properly, or your budget is just not there in order to hit your goal, or maybe it's a staff issue and you need to now replace someone or maybe change someone's role in order to properly achieve your goals at the end of the day. So these are all things to think about. And again, if you have not hit your goals, don't think of it as a failure, and just understand that failure is necessary for success. We actually had an entire Facebook Live, episode number 20, all about this, so I recommend you go back and watch it. I'll put it inside the show notes on Facebook so that you can click it and watch it inside the Fearless Fashionpreneur Facebook group. And just look at where you're at and see what is it that you're really not doing and what do you need to be doing more of, and how can you actually achieve your goals. Step 3, if you have achieved some of your goals, if you have reached your goals, celebrate, have a party, reward yourself. It's really important to take that time and acknowledge, yes, I achieved this goal. I am super proud of it. You know, maybe you can't have a party with a bunch of people over, but you can have virtual parties. You can take pictures on your Instagram. You can do an IG live, right? You can, give yourself a facial, manicure, whatever makes you feel great, whatever kind of reward you can give yourself, do it. And make sure that you acknowledge how far you have come and the goals that you have achieved. Step 4 is to change any goals that need to be changed and or add new goals. So I already mentioned one new goal that we added, which was to put $10,000 at least into the pockets of people that have been laid off by COVID. That was a new goal that we added in March when this whole thing happened and people started getting laid off. And so that was a new goal that we added, and that's great. You don't have to just make your goals at the beginning of the year. You can make goals at any point in time in the year. Step 5 is to make a list of action items, and step 6 is to implement deadlines and put those deadlines on a calendar or in a planner. I personally have a planner. That's how I like to do everything. And so I'll start to put deadlines on things. Even if they're arbitrary deadlines, at least I know I'll have them, and it gives me something to work towards, right? And to go off of. And if I don't hit it, yes, I can move it, but the idea is to try to hit those deadlines and break all your larger goals into smaller goals so that you can put little deadlines along the way and it doesn't feel like such a huge, huge task. And again, we talk about this a lot in Facebook Live episode 14, all about 10 steps to setting SMART goals. And again, as a reminder, SMART goals stands for S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A for attainable, R for relevant, and T for time bound. So that time bound is really, really important, and that's why you need to have deadlines. Okay, so now moving along to the business side of things, right? So those are goals, and those are really great tips for any kind of goals. Could be business goals, could be personal goals, whatever the case may be. But now I want to talk about the business side. It's really important that you take a mid-year check of your business and start to do a lot of things related to the business, right? So now would be a good time to do performance reviews if you have employees, if you have contractors, if you have interns. It's really important that you're giving them reviews, that you are telling them the good things they're doing, the bad things they're doing, how they can improve, so on and so forth. And I really look at it as a chance for me to improve. If I'm the boss, I want to be the best boss that I possibly can be, right? So I want feedback from them. How can I support you more? How can I help you do your job more effectively, right? That's super, super important. Then you want to think about customers, okay? How many total customers have you had so far for the year? How many of those total customers are repeat customers? And are those customers referring other customers? And if they're not, can you start some sort of referral program? It's really, really great if you can have a referral program, because if people like something, they'll want to make a little bit of money to refer it and tell people about it, right? So it's a great way. We do it with our business. If you're a client of ours, or even if you're not a client of ours, you can literally make money by just referring people to us, and we are happy to pay you. I'd rather pay you than pay Facebook for Facebook ads, right? So I'd rather put the money in your pocket than Facebook's pocket. So I'm happy to pay people to refer us, because a referral goes so much longer than a cold lead on Facebook, let's just say. Then you also want to start to think about what's the cost to acquire a customer. So a lot of you, we polled you on Instagram stories and you said you did not actually know how to do this. So we're going to talk about it right now. So in order to determine what is the cost to acquire one single customer, you need to first add up all of your marketing, PR, advertising expenses, right? Anything that you're doing to essentially acquire customers, right? And you have to divide that by the number of customers. So let's just say, for example, it was, I don't know, you were spending $30,000, and you're gonna see how horrible I am at math right now because I don't have a calculator on me. But let's say it was $30,000 that you spent on all your marketing, PR, advertising expenses, right? And you had 100 customers for the year. That would be $3,000 per customer. That's your cost to acquire. So hopefully that's not your cost to acquire. You've gotten much more than 100 customers, and maybe you've spent much less than $30,000, but that's just to give you an idea, right? Next, you want to think about your average sales per customer. So in order to come up with that number, you would take your total gross sales and divide it by the number of customers that you have. And then I also like to look at the average profit per customer. Excuse me. So in that case, you would take your average sales per customer, which you just determined, and divide it by the cost to acquire that customer. And now you have the average profit per customer. So I think it's really important to look at these numbers. I personally do them for my business. I think it's great. It really gives you an understanding of how much does it cost? How much time and energy and money are you spending just to get one person to buy something on your website? And then when they do buy something, how much are you really making at the end of the day off of it, right? Now, you also want to be building relationships with your customers and meeting their needs. Now, can anyone guess the number one way to figure out what it is that your customers want? Type it in the comments. A lot of you are watching. Anyone know? Does anyone know the number one way to determine what your customers really want at the end of the day? Type it in the comments. I want to hear from you guys. A lot of you are watching. And if you guys have any questions, or if any of this is confusing as we go along, please let me know. Anyone? Does anyone want to take a guess? All right, I'll give it to you guys. Survey them. Survey your customers. It is so easy. If they've already bought something from you once, survey them. Why did you like it? Why didn't you like it? What would you like to see from us in the future? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite designer? Ask them 1,000,001 questions, and you will get exactly what it is that they want, and then you can make it and you can give it to them. It is so important. Awesome. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Now, the next thing you want to do for your business is look at your P&L, which is your profit and loss statement, and or your cash flow statements. So it's really important to know how much money is coming into the business and how much money is going out of the business at any given moment, right? And what's your total sales revenue? Where are your sales coming from? I constantly ask my designers this question and they do not seem to know. It's very important to know, where are your sales coming from? If you get sales both on your online store, a third-party e-commerce shop, maybe you sell on Amazon or Zulily, maybe you sell at in-person markets and pop-ups, and then maybe you have wholesale accounts, it's important to know, what's the percentage of sales from wholesale to pop-ups to your online store, right? Are you bringing in more sales from one or the other? Is that okay with you? Is that not okay with you? Do you need to reverse that and get sales higher in a different category? It's really, really important that you're looking at your P&L statements to figure all of this out and understand where your sales are coming from at the end of the day. You might decide you're spread too thin. You might decide you need to expand your channels of distribution and offer more ways that people can purchase your goods. Also think about, what are your total expenses? I know no one really likes to look at these numbers because the money comes in and then it seems to just go right back out. But it's really important that you look at it. What's your highest categories? Are you spending way too much on photography or web development or whatever the case may be? Do you have months in your business where business is typically good and really busy? And do you have months when it's typically slow? Do you have a slow season, a busy season? Are you bringing in more or less income in certain months of the year or certain seasons of the year? That's really important for you to know, because if you have a slower month, you're going to want to know that a busier month is coming to make up for that slow month, right? And so maybe you need to do something, or maybe you need to add another product category so that you can make something during that time so that you can make some kind of profit, right? These are all really, really important things to take a look at in your business. We literally helped one of our clients reduce his expenses almost $100,000 a year so that he could actually make a profit the following year, okay? So all by just looking at his P&L statement, looking at all the things he was spending his money on, shifting some things around, getting him some other tools that were much more affordable. He now is doing a lot of our digital marketing services, our Instagram services, our blog writing services, because it was a lot more affordable than hiring a full-time employee to do these things, right? So you don't always have to spend money, and sometimes you're spending money in the wrong places. So it's really, really important that you're taking a look at your P&L and your cash flow and that you know what's going on with your money. The next thing you want to look at are margins. And so I want to take a poll. Which one do you think is more important, net margin or gross margin? So if you think net margin, type in net. If you think gross margin, type in gross. I'm going to tell you the difference between them as you're all typing in now. So gross margin is the difference between your COGS and your MSRP, or your sales price. So you're basically taking your sales price divided by your COGS. That's your gross margin, right? Your net profit margin is actually what's left for your total expenses have actually been deducted from revenue. Now, keep in mind, margin is not the same as markup, and this can get really, really confusing. And a lot of people get confused, and even I get confused sometimes. So let's just clarify so everyone is on the same page. If you take your COGS and you double it, let's say something is $100, it costs you $100 to make it, and you double it and you decide to charge $200, that is 100% markup, but only a 50% gross margin. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense for everybody. So if you take something and you double it, it's $100, and now you're going to charge $200. That is 100% markup, but only a 50% gross margin. So we're talking specifically about margins here, not markup, which I know can be kind of confusing. But at the end of the day, your gross margin is not the most important. It's actually your net margin. So those of you who said net, you're on the right track. And the reason is, everyone seems, for whatever reason, to focus on gross margin. They take their COGS, they look at their MSRP, they do the math, they figure out what the gross margin is. But your gross margin might be 70%, which you're like, yes, I'm making 70% profit. But then you might be spending another 30% on advertising and marketing, which technically isn't on your cost sheet. It's not included in your COGS. And so now your net margin is really only 40%, which is honestly still not that bad. But I have seen people have a 70% gross margin and then they have a 0% net margin because they're not making any money because they're spending all their money, right, on marketing, advertising, and expenses to basically run the business. And so then you have no profit at the end of the day. And in my book, if you don't have a profit, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. So I'm all about making sure that you have a profit, that you're making money. And so it's really, really important that you look at the net margin, not the gross margin. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, Grandstand Fashion says she gets it. Awesome. Okay, cool. Next thing you want to look at is Google Analytics. Very, very super important. You can tell a lot of things about your website from your Google Analytics. Things like your monthly website traffic, Take a look at it. Is it growing? Has it grown from the beginning of the year? Is it where you want it to be? Look at your bounce rate. This is the rate at which people come to your homepage or come to a page on your website and then leave and they don't take any action, right? You want to look at that. You want to look at your top 3 sources of traffic. And the easiest way to find this, if you're not familiar with Google Analytics, you just go to acquisition, all traffic, and then channels. And that's where you're going to find your top 3 sources of traffic. It might be organic, it might be direct, it might be social. And then you can even click on those things to find out further. Like if you click on social, it will tell you Facebook versus Instagram versus LinkedIn versus Twitter, right? Whatever social media channels you're using, it will literally tell you where are people coming from. For our business specifically, we get way more people coming from Facebook than we do from Instagram, which wouldn't make sense if you just looked at my numbers because we have over 11,000 followers on our Instagram, and yet we only have around 3,000 followers on our Facebook page. But those 3,000 followers are engaged. Why? Because I also have an amazing group that we have everyone a part of, our Fearless Fashionpreneur group, which is where we do all of these lives and how we get everyone excited and involved, right? And engaged, which is super important. So take a look at your 3 sources of traffic. I would love to know. DM me if you're on Instagram, PM me if you're on Facebook, whatever the case. DM me, PM me. Let me know what your top 3 sources of traffic are. I would love to know once you found out. And then you can also look to see which pages specifically on your website people are spending the most amount of time. I had a client that was doing 3 different categories of clothing, and we found that after looking at his Google Analytics that everyone was really all going to one category. Nobody was really looking at the other categories. So we had to figure out, okay, do we want to drive ads? Do we want to do something different? Do we need to change the homepage around so that we get equal foot traffic on all of the categories? It's like walking into a store and half of the store is one thing and half the store is the other thing, and people are all going to one side and they're not even looking at the other side. That's a problem. You want everyone to be looking at the entire store and everything that's in the store, right? So you need to figure out a way to rework it so that everyone can see everything in the store. So really, really super important that you figure out which pages people are landing on, what's the most high traffic pages, and then how can you update those pages, repurpose them? Can you put a call to action to shop on those pages? Can you put a sign up for your email list? Ding, 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 little trick there. Can you put a sign up for your email list on those pages? If they're getting the most foot traffic, that's where you want to get people and hook them in either your email or to get them to shop, all right? Also look at your email marketing. Now's a great time, halfway through the year. What's the total number of subscribers? And even more important, what's your open rate and click-through rate? I am all about not the number of subscribers, but how engaged are those subscribers. And actually, we're gonna be deleting a lot of people off of our email list because I really do want to get my open and click-through rates much, much higher. So I'd rather honestly have a lot less people and have the open rate be higher than have a ton of people and have the open rate be lower. So don't be afraid to delete people off your list if they're not reading your emails. Also look at the back end of your e-commerce platform. If you're using Shopify, you should be able to see your average order value. How can you increase this? We have amazing online courses. One of them is called How to Drive Traffic and Boost Sales to Your Online Website. It is amazing. We literally go through how to increase your average order value inside this class. And it happens to be on sale right now, $40 off for our 4th of July course sale. So you have 2 more days to take advantage of that. You also want to take a look at your abandoned cart rate. Super, super important. Keep in mind the average abandoned cart rate for e-commerce platforms is 68%. So if yours is lower than 68, you're actually doing pretty good. You'll probably find that you're around 80% is what I find for most people, and that's not good. And so there's a lot of things that, again, we teach inside that online course that you can take advantage of in order to get those abandoned cart rates down and get people checking out faster. And then last but not least, you want to take a look at your social media numbers and even more importantly, engagement, right? Maybe you had a goal at the beginning of the year, I'm going to hit 10,000 followers, I'm going to hit 20,000 followers, whatever it may be. I encourage you to have a goal of engagement rate going up rather than follower count going up. And I think you'll find that you get a lot more sales if you focus more on the engagement. So those are my tips on how to do a mid-year business goal review. I hope that it was super helpful for all of you. Also, don't forget to go back and watch all the previous Facebook Lives that we talked about. Episode 14, 10 Steps to Setting Smart Goals. Episode 20, Why Failure is Necessary in Order to Succeed. Episode 64, 10 steps to get your business organized. Super important to be organized. If you're having trouble in that area, definitely go back and watch that one. And then episode 95 from last week, where we did a case study on successful companies that launched in a bad economy. So was that helpful for you guys? Give me a yes, give me a thumbs up, give me your hearts. I want to hear from you guys. I hope that was helpful. I hope it encourages you. Also, don't forget to go back and take our wonderful quiz if you're curious what your success rate will be for your fashion line, whether you've already started or you're thinking of starting. It's an amazing quiz. I'm super, super proud of it. We spent a ton of time really making sure that it was super accurate, and I would love to know your quiz score. So just DM me or PM me your quiz score. I'd love to find out. Go to fashioningtowear.com/quiz. Don't forget to sign up for our Tex World raffle that's happening during the Tex World show, July 21st to 23rd. You can go to texworldraffle.eventbrite.com to sign up for a free raffle to win a one-on-one coaching session with me. Also tomorrow we'll be doing our Instagram takeover on Tex World platform on Instagram, and we'll be interviewing Melissa Shea from Fashion Mingle, which is going to be super exciting, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then, of course, our 4th of July, aka Cheers to Freedom from Your Job sale. These online courses, guys, I swear, it will help you leave your 9-to-5. We've had so many students go through these programs, go through these courses, leave their 9-to-5. My Independence Day for leaving my 9-to-5 was back in February of 2016. I have been self-employed for the last 4 years entirely on my own, and it is the best decision I ever made. So please take advantage of the course sale. You can take anywhere from $40 to $80 to $250 off our online courses. Go to fashioningtowear.com/courses. There is only 2 days left. Today, tomorrow. Tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day. So you only have 1 more day left. And then we'll be back again for another Facebook Live in 2 weeks. So no Facebook Live next week. In 2 weeks, I'll be back July 21st. We'll be doing a live from Tex World, the virtual trade show that's happening. And we're going to be giving you all the scoop on virtual trade shows. So I'm super excited to be talking about that. So tune in 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific inside the Fearless Fashionpreneur Facebook group. And as always, don't forget to do whatever it takes. I love you guys. I hope this is helpful. DM me, PM me. I'd love to hear from you. Awesome. Have a good night, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.